TSN Hockey Insider joined hotline. There he is, Darren Dreger, with his Fighting Walleye t-shirt on. I love it.
Cam River Fighting Walleye.
Yeah.
Never been there, been around it, but best logo, arguably the best logo in junior hockey. Yeah. That's saying a lot. Yeah.
Didn't in the West, was it Swift Current or Prince Albert? Didn't they do the Slough Sharks or something for one?
Swift did the Slough Sharks a couple of years back.
Yeah.
They were sharp.
It's okay.
Nice.
To have fun.
Yeah. It's good.
It's okay to have fun. We were just kind of talking about it, that Noodles was on Wednesday, and he says, I wonder with this series, Montreal's been good and Buffalo's right there. With Dobish, I wonder if he's maybe due for a bit of a down game. He's been so good, regardless of being a rookie or whatever. You just can't, you're not going to do 950, 975 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And there it was. It was the game where Dobish had an off night. And you had kind of said Marty St. Louis last night at 3-0 makes the decision not to make the decision to pull. Like in doing nothing, that's a conscious decision to not make. By doing nothing, it feels like that might be one of the biggest part of this series if it goes the way it looks like it may well go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm reminded of a saying that often presents to general managers. Sometimes the best decisions are the ones that you don't make, right? And I guess that would apply to this instance as well. But, I appreciate what Marty St. Louis had to say post-game, where he just said, and he said it before, goaltending is not my level of expertise here. I don't have a feel for it. You can have a gut feel for it. Like if you look in front of you and you look down at your bench after the goal and you see guys are sagging, heads are hanging, and there's just almost a palpable momentum shift. Well, that's different. Coaches do that all the time. You pull the goalie just to add a spark. We saw the reaction from Jakub Dobish, and the body language wasn't good. And then, the isolation camera on St. Louis where he's looking at Trevor Letowski.
What a shot, right?
What a great shot.
Yeah.
But I love, again, St. Louis pulling the curtain back and just admitting, all right, I had a quick consult with Letowski. He buzzed up to the goalie coach. The goalie coach said, no, let's give him another one. Let's give him a bit more time. Decision made. Everybody moves on. And then furthermore, you guys probably heard the sound. Aside from the goaltending capabilities of this 24-year-old kid, who, by the way, is playing elite level goaltending, he's so young that he's allowing himself to be honest. He's not. He doesn't have a PR guy in his ear, or a guy who's been around the league for 15 years saying you're talking too much. You're giving up way too much information here. But he openly said, "Look, I got into the dressing room." And either somebody told him or he self-corrected. He realized that his body language wasn't good. And he needed to step up and block out all of that. And he did in a huge way. I mean, they leave him in there and he makes that save on Tage Thompson. And that's probably a game-turning sequence. Because if Thompson's, and I heard you guys talk about Thompson likely being injured, and it definitely has that aroma to it. Just the way, not that he isn't producing, on a regular basis, just the way he's handling the puck and certain elements like that.
He does not look himself at all.
He doesn't.
He looks like a guy that's fighting it big time.
He's looking every time he gets it. For a guy that can shoot it like that, he's looking pass first. Where am I moving it?
We did see him try and shoot it once early in the game. And it's funny because, I'm watching with Noodles and Frankie Corrado, and we all kind of acknowledged at the same point, geez, we haven't seen him try that in a while, right? Yeah. Because your point is well made. But Dobish makes a save there, and it was almost like, okay, whatever demons that I had that had crept into this game 5, I'm putting them behind me. I'm good to go. The confidence meter is now peaking out in the red. So there was just, but then conversely, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I saw. Then there was another isolation shot of the Buffalo bench. And you see Tage sitting beside Alex Tuck, and they're looking like they're staring into the headlights. Like, we don't have an answer for what is going on here. And we know that this best of 3 is slipping away. And I don't think the building was as electric. Now, if Thompson scores on that play, the roof probably comes off, and it's a ridiculous conversation to have. But now you're looking at game 6, and Buffalo is good on the road. But doesn't it feel to you guys that if Alex Tuch doesn't introduce himself offensively to this series, they're not going to win, because I don't think Montreal is going to allow that to happen. So there's a lot of pressure on guys in Buffalo.
Obviously, I'm pulling for my old squad, but it to me, it seems like when Montreal's been pushed, going back last series, this series, when they need to step up, when they need to accomplish something, they're the team that does it, right? When they need to make something happen, typically they make it happen. Do they need to save? They get to save. Like, it looks more like a team that's in the moments is making things happen. It doesn't look like that for the Sabres to me. Their goaltending, I mean, we're talking about they're going to pull Dobush. Well, Uka Puka gets yanked.
Yeah.
He didn't look great. He should have been yanked. But now you've got, I know they've gone back and forth all year, and Lyon has played well, but they've got more question marks in net. They've got Thompson. Montreal just looks like the team that is, it's not destiny, because I think they're going to get S-rolled by Carolina, but they look like a better team against Buffalo.
Yeah, and all the markings of that are there. You know, again, there was a lot made in the Montreal market about Cole Caulfield. You know, initially in the series wasn't producing. Sure, the power play wasn't horrible. They had 1 for 7 in the one game. He hits that 5-on-5 goal, and that's a big goal. That's a big goal for him, but that's a big goal for the team. You know, the depth is there, and Josh Anderson and Jake Evans and Texier find a way. And Demidov, who has been pretty good in this series. I thought that was his most dominant, dynamic game, game 5. You know, he finds a way to score a big goal. Lane Hutson was all over the place in that game last night. But so that sounds like a laundry list of ingredients as to why Montreal is going to end this series tomorrow night. As electric as that building is going to be, that city, that downtown area is going to be chaotic. It is going to be fun. But this is a young Montreal Canadiens team. And that moment and the possibility of ending the series isn't going to be a small one. So how are they going to manage that? We don't know. We know that in game 4 and game 6 against Tampa Bay, when they could end that series in game 6, they didn't do it. They allowed Tampa Bay to force a game 7. You know, you get into that scenario, and now for me, the momentum does shift back to Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo's been better on the road than at home.
They have. Yeah.
And, you know, another name in there quietly last night is Slavkovsky. He had 3 helpers. Right? It's a luxury. It's a nice luxury when you have that many contributors. A couple guys can maybe have an off night and somebody else picks up the slack. I just want to go back and look, because Tuch and we're saying as well, Tage and Tuch both last night -2. Tuch 0 points, like you say, introduce himself to the series. In round 1 against Tampa, Kucherov had 6 points in the 7 games, but had nothing in games 5, 6, and 7. Are we paying enough attention to what the Habs are doing defensively to take the key contributors out? Because they did it to Kuch, and they're doing it again here to the top 2 guys for the Sabres.
And those 2 guys are what, -8 and -9?
Yeah.
I think, right? I mean, those are ugly numbers. Let's just call it the way it is. But I think your point is well made in giving some praise to the Montreal defense. You know, it's funny. I remember having a conversation in Toronto prior to the start of Leafs training camp with Craig Berube, and it was coming out of the rookie tournament. And actually might have been out of exhibition, because it more or less would have been the regular season roster. And Craig Berube acknowledging that defensively as a team, he thought Montreal was going to be underrated going into the year. He wondered about the physicality on defense and whether their smallish defensemen were going to be able to box out and do some of the things you have to be able to do. They're so far beyond that now, right? But I think it's because of how they defend, at the speed they defend, and as they defend as a unit, not just as the defense, right? And when you've got the elite level of goaltending that they're getting. And the other thing, Buffalo's kind of come online. I don't remember what the Boomer, maybe you can check quick what the face-off percentages were last night.
Sure.
But in the first 3 games of the series, I mean, Montreal manhandled the Buffalo Sabres at center ice. And then in game 4 in Montreal, I think Buffalo kind of fought back in that regard. So, the defensive players, the attention of that detail, I think, is absorbed, and there's a commitment by everybody, and they're doing it at full speed. So that can be dangerous.
It's how Torts, Marty was there when they beat us in 03-04, and that's how Torts had all of his top guys. They played D as a unit. It's interesting, and not to belabor that or talk about it even. You bring up Berube and the scramble. Boomer was talking about the scrambles in front of the net and how wild they've been. That's kind of like you said, their D is really good, but can they handle it's been a struggle. Now the puck has stayed out and they've battled their asses off, but it's weird how Chief could see that. And that makes sense because it gets wild around the net in Montreal.
But I can guarantee you, if you asked him now, and I asked a few other divisional rival coaches what they're seeing in Montreal, they just think that it's a team that is built to win. They're not saying they're going to win the conference or get to the Stanley Cup final or win a Stanley Cup, but it was early in the series when I checked in with a few of these guys, divisional coaches, and they basically amplified what I said, in terms of how this group has grown together. And you can see the value in that. Sure, you sprinkle as a general manager with a piece here or there just to build on what you have. But start of the year, and you got to get a little bit lucky too. There's nobody at the start of the year that said the Montreal Canadiens were going to go potentially the Eastern Conference final with Jakub Dobeš and Jacob Fowler. No chance. To have Sam Montembeault on the scrap heap in Montreal is incredible. But if you want to look through the history books, you kind of need that missing ingredient, the intangibles, every once in a while to bolster what you've slow grown in a process of the rebuild. And that's what Montreal has done.
Yeah.
I can't recall. Sorry.
No, it's good.
I can't recall. Did they make a move at the deadline?
Well, the move they made was kind of pre-deadline when they brought Philippe Danault back. I was going to say last night it was 56% in the dot for the Habs. Danault was 78%. He's on the ice against Tuck, especially at home on home ice, which is where they're headed. Tuck and Thompson, those guys are on. Usually Danault.
Wow, to further what you're just saying, they've grown together and they've come together, and they didn't make any. Sometimes the big trade isn't the move that you need to do.
No, and I remember it was last year when they brought in Carey from Nashville, and that at the time was that's interesting. Harris going back the other way. Wonder why Nashville is doing this, but it was a sneaky good ad by Ken Hughes because he had a relatively inexperienced blue line, and it helped take some of the heat off. But Phil Danault went from an environment in Los Angeles where he felt like a misfit or
misused,
spare part almost too, right?
To
and maybe it's just home. He's comfortable in that world, that community, that environment. When Demidov scored, I think it was Phil Danault who was the first on that bench to give that kid a hug, as if and you can imagine what the conversations from some of those veteran players with Ivan Demidov had been to that point. Because he's a young, inexperienced player who believes that it's his job to produce offense, and he wasn't. In post-game, he talked about his confidence was fine. There's never an issue with his confidence. But I like seeing those interactions. They're probably nothing, but it does show signs of a team that's come together and worked together and is willing to continue to go through the battle together. And then look, we got enough time and respect for Buffalo. They could send this to a Game 7, no problem.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think they've played better on the road. It's odd. We were kind of like that here in Calgary in 03-04. You'd have good games, but never ended up winning at home. And I wonder if it's not pressure, maybe almost excitement. But I think they'll play better on the road.
Well, and look, I mean, whether it's a Bell Center or before that, the fabled Montreal Forum. I mean, Rhett, you played in that world, in that energy. The opposition can feed off that too, right?
Oh, I mean, for sure.
You're in there, you're in a mecca of hockey. That. Your juices are flowing and your heart is pumping. And, Lindy always talks about, and he has the games that they've won in Montreal, where we took, you score early, you take the crowd out of it early. Yes and no. I mean, you kind of do, but you kind of don't. because that building's always vibrating.
Yeah, you want to take the crowd out of it. You better get 3 or 4 and have a 4-goal lead, not one.
Yeah,
isn't enough.
agreed.
And it's interesting you bring it up because my kids were asking me about it the other day, and I said, "Well, in Montreal, you're always excited to play Tuesday in November, Wednesday. Like it doesn't matter what night. It's Montreal. Like it's awesome."
Yeah, we've showed clips throughout the year on a Tuesday or Wednesday where the goal horn goes for 20 seconds and the crowd's losing their mind. You know, I was going to get to it. I don't know why it was kind of lost on me. You talk about Lane Hutson, and we know he's a great defenseman, and he deserves to be when we start talking about, well, you got what's Quinn Hughes gonna sign for because he's elite, and Zach Werenski and Norris, and he's got 12 points in 12 games, and I guess his contract, he signed the 8-year, 8.85.
These young defensemen that are signing, and I mean, it's still lots of money in this and that.
But what a value if he was to sign at the end of this year or next.
Does he not? I love the fact that he shows up in a suit.
Yeah, me too.
Because to me that it's like Marty St. Louis, or it's like all the greats in Montreal. Yeah, they're first class individuals. Do you know what I mean? And he's got that in him.
And he's openly talked about. It just doesn't feel right. I don't, when I get to the rink, it's all business. I'm here to do my job to the highest level I can do it. And it wouldn't be different than prepping your sticks or any of the routine that you would go through before puck drop. If something is off, I mean, it does disrupt the psyche a little bit. So yeah, I mean, good on him. I mean, it's a bit refreshing because we're used to watching, William Nylander with his t-shirt and his gold chains and his hairy chest and, sleeveless shirts.
It's odd because I always said, wearing these suits is stupid because you have it on for 5 in your vehicle or on the bus, and then it doesn't make sense. But then it's like, I'm a hypocrite.
Well, when you're winning, stuff works. And whatever you're doing is why it's working.
The best thing about it's like Sid. It's the class of the, you know what I mean? And this kid Hudson seems to have a little bit of that.
He definitely does. Yeah. And hey, you know what? We can talk about his contract. I understood at the time why he accepted the deal that he, I mean, we don't know personally what family situations are or any of that. It's not our business. Yeah. Somebody puts $70 million in front of you at that age. Like, I mean, come on.
I know.
And, I mean, sure.
$70 million.
Yeah. It could have been 100, but it's still 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like when Kaprizov turned down that first offer from Bill Guerin, whatever, 100 and some. I was like, that takes some kind of balls. Like, it didn't literally happen, but to slide a contract across the table. Here's 100 and some million. I'm good for now, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh my. There's a 98% chance another one's coming back with more on it. But wow.
Imagine what the Celebrini deal is going to look like when they get to the heavy lifting of that. Like, I think. Mike Greer is just going to simply say, okay, man, here's a piece of paper. Just write the number down.
With a kid like that, and I don't know, clearly I don't know him. Is it a situation though where you almost have to, I mean, he's got to make his money, but they have to be in it together to a certain extent, correct? Right? Like, if you take it all, kid, then you have to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. Like, is there any of that conversation? I mean, McDavid, the best sweetheart deal maybe in the history of professional sports.
Well, Crosby would be up there too, Rhett.
Yes.
Over time.
Over time. And they did that for that reason.
Yeah,
is there some of that could, I mean, how do we know, I guess, but is that a conversation Greer's got to have and say, listen, you are that good.
Yeah,
absolutely. But
yeah, and I haven't heard him talk about it publicly. So if he has, I apologize. I should know this, but is San Jose going to be a top cap team? Yeah, I don't. Maybe their owner, and there will be lots of these owners. The salary cap is going up. It's going up every year. We know that, but that doesn't mean that every owner is going to say, okay, yeah, the salary cap's 130 million, so that's what our cap is. No, there'll be owners that go, okay, well, good, it's 130, but our internal salary cap is 100. Or it's 110 or whatever it is, right? So where does San Jose fit in that dynamic? But yes, when you get into scenarios like that, like normally we're talking about a kid like this coming out of an entry level deal, you're looking at a bridge. You're looking at, okay, we're going to pay you, but you're still going to have to prove that you're on the uptick, that we haven't seen the best of you yet developmentally. You're going to get better. And if you do in the next 2-3 years of that bridge, then we'll lay out the big bucks and you'll get the contract that you want, right? Macklin Celebrini doesn't have to do that. Austin Matthews didn't have to do that. Connor McDavid didn't have to do that, right? So you do, as a manager, sit down with the agent and with a player, and you bring out your pie chart. Okay, Mac, if you want $20 million a year, here's the percentage of the salary cap. And then Will Smith is going to want this, and this guy's going to need to get that. And you break it down that way. And, most players, not all, most would say, I want to win first. But maybe the concession is you do what Matthews has done in Toronto. So instead of Macklin Celebrini saying to San Jose, okay, I want 7 years and I want $20 million per, he goes, okay, no, I understand what you're saying. I want to win here. We just about made the playoffs. I want to win. So I'll take a little bit less, but I'm only taking a 4-year term. And then he continues to prove himself, and he hits you over the head again.
It's not even almost. It's almost not even prove himself. It's just we'll just keep chipping away, and as things go.
Yeah. So we'll see. That should be an easy one.
Yeah. That's the thing. It might be right.
It will be.
Yeah, the kid probably wants to stay. It's a decent weather down there. As far as I've been a couple times. Minnesota Wild. You don't see it all the time, but they got to the end. They did the handshakes. They came back. They did media. You know what? We got beat by a better team. Yeah, we're injured. We find out today that Jonas Brodin had surgery a couple weeks ago. He was not coming back. They were without Eriksson Ek. But even with, you wonder, it was just Colorado overwhelmed them for much of that series. And, Quinn Hughes is going to be asked questions, and Bill Guerin is saying, you need a center. What's the job like now for Billy Guerin? Because he's going to want to keep Hughes. Zuccarello was very good. He's a UFA. They've got the other young kids. So they're on their way. They're in great shape. Kaprizov, that whole thing. But at the same time, there's some big work still there to be done.
Well, the work isn't done. You're right, because even though they got beat by the better team, they still lost. And there is an appreciation. There's a level of success that can be applied to getting to the second round in the fashion that they did in a tough opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But they still didn't get over the hump. So, you have to assume Gary Bettman isn't coming off the mat and changing the matrix of the Stanley Cup playoffs anytime soon, not while he's in office. Yeah. So you may have to face Colorado again next year. How are you going to be better? And how much of that getting better is already there internally? Well, we're not sure. That means younger players have to find a way to take another step. But one thing that we know, because it's proven in Bill Guerin as general manager, he never leaves the bat on his shoulder. It just doesn't happen. So I expect that he'll be as aggressive as he can be. He proved that again in acquiring Quinn Hughes. I'm sure at the time they had conversations with Pat Brisson and the group that represents Quinn about the idea of the future and what it looks like. I'm sure that there was nothing that was promised or guaranteed at that point. But unless Quinn doesn't like living in Minnesota, where is it going to be better? Where? Mm-hmm. I mean, he could go to New Jersey, I guess, if that's ultimately his goal, is to play with Jack and to play with Luke. But he does that, and he's kind of stepping on the throat of his younger brother, isn't he? I mean, Luke is still a developing young defenseman there. He's going to play some power play time. Well, is he with Quinn there?
35 minutes a night.
He never comes off the ice. So I think that'll all be factored in. I mean, there's another player that isn't going to have to worry about the length or the money that he's getting. I mean, that'll be part of a relatively easy process. It's just picking his destination. And I have no reason to believe, given the relationship that he and his family has with Billy Guerin, that he doesn't have a strong appetite to stay in Minnesota.
I haven't looked at it because we're doing the show. I think this is the first morning in a while we haven't had a coach firing yet.
Oh, it's
day's
early.
young. Yeah,
Yeah.
the day is young. Two high-profile coaches, or at least high-profile teams, letting their coach go. Neither really a surprise. Obviously, Edmonton got raked a little bit for how they went for Cassidy and that. I guess I'm curious your take on that. The asking for permission, and even if it's temporary, not getting the permission they want for Bruce Cassidy to be able to talk to him. Was it as bad as it looks, or as bad as people made it out to be? Could it have been handled better, I suppose? But I guess your thoughts on the Oilers moving on from Knobloch and where they go from here.
Well, I mean, the writing was on the wall when we learned that, Edmonton had requested permission to speak with Bruce Cassidy, that it was over for Chris Knobloch. They just decided that they'd wait a few more days, and I guess to some degree let him twist before doing what they did inevitably on Wednesday night. Fellas, I've known Kelly McCrimmon. Bloomer, you've known him a long time.
Yeah.
As cutthroat as they come. And he will make no apologies for that. Zero. And you can agree or disagree with the position that the Vegas Golden Knights have taken, but it's not his job to make the Edmonton Oilers or the Los Angeles Kings, a division rival, better. And if they believe that Bruce Cassidy as head coach in Edmonton or Los Angeles makes them better, then contractually, they can withhold permission.
Yeah.
Ethically, you can challenge it. I wouldn't like it if I were Bruce Cassidy. I wouldn't. But I checked in with the league earlier this week. The league said, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce could hire a contract lawyer and challenge it. I mean, because he's only under contract for another year at around 4.5. Maybe it's a hard 4.5. I would be worried about future earnings. Like, Bruce Cassidy can't sit back for another year and just, wait for the contract to expire. So is it fair for him to have to wait until the right team? Is it an Eastern Conference team that has to seek out permission? But it could also be the Vegas Golden Knights not wanting to be distracted by any of it, focusing on the playoffs and getting by the Anaheim Ducks, and now they'll get to business and they'll make their decision accordingly. So it's a weird one, but I can understand. I can understand Vegas's position. I can.
Yeah, I kind of can too. I guess I do. In a way, I feel for Cassidy. I don't have a lot of sympathy for guys making $4.5 million to do nothing potentially, but he said, I think he was on the NHL Network yesterday. It's like, well, I want to coach, and to coach in LA. That's, even though the team isn't, they're not at their peak right now, but to coach in Los Angeles and live there, that's desirable.
Not
or
bad.
To coach two of the top 5 players in the world also would be an attractive thing.
Yeah.
There's going to always, teams fire coaches all the time, but for a guy that wants to coach, and if these are two places where he would gladly go, it does kind of stink for him.
It does. And, you're right. The 3 vacancies, Toronto, Edmonton, and LA. I think it would be a 2-horse race in LA and Edmonton. This is a weird one. Ray and I talked about it on the podcast this morning. Do you want to have a conversation with Connor McDavid if you're that potential coach before you agree to be the coach?
No kidding, right?
Can you even do that? Or are you poking the bear?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you haven't been offered the job yet, but one of the conditions of accepting the job is I want to talk to your captain first and find out if this really is a 1-year thing.
Need a lot of permission slips.
And then they deny permission.
Oh boy. And I think I think he's in Turks and Caicos. So McDavid, that is.
Yeah.
So, Bruce might have a good trip out of it as well. So we'll see. I mean, it's
just if he shows up at the same resort. Wait, hey, what are
you doing here?
Hey, I also love Turks and Caicos. What a coincidence. How's it going down in Toronto? It's been the best of times and the worst of times over the last 10 to 14 days.
Yeah. I mean, John Chaika is breathing, drinking out of a fire hose. That's what he's doing, right? I mean, he's just trying to get to know people within the organization. I think a hockey ops has like 150 or something like that. So it's more than a meet and greet just to cross paths with everybody there. He didn't give us much, when they announced that Craig Berube had been dismissed. And by the way, for these veteran teams like LA and Edmonton, Berube and Peter Laviolette are on their radar too, right?
Yes.
I mean, when you're looking at teams that are looking for a closer type of coach, Greg Berube is a good coach. He may not be the coach for the future in Toronto. That's pretty obvious. But, I mean, they picked his brain clean. Chaika and Sundin met with Berube on last Saturday, for like 5 hours. And then 3-4 days, what was it? 3 days later said, yeah, sorry, we're going a different direction.
I'm guessing Berube was like, I don't care. You can fire me, but here's the truth. It was a bit of a bones situation in Columbus.
I think that's fair. I do. And maybe, and I don't know this per se, but maybe Chaika just has now a different view of everything. And he's like, well, maybe this is more than a retool. Berube would say, okay, well, we need a number 2 center so we can move Tavares down to the 3 spot. If we draft Gavin McKenna, can he be a top 6, top 9 winger? Well, that would help us, obviously. And, by the way, we need another puck-moving right shot defenseman. But other than that, we're good. Yeah. And we don't have any assets to acquire those pieces, but that's fine. And now you look at coaching.
Are you sold on their goaltending too? I mean, I
actually am. As long as both, and this is crazy because how do you confirm good health? If Joseph Woll can stay healthy, he's a legit number 1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The other guy, I'd be more concerned with. I would be. So, could one of those pieces be used as potential trade fodder in a discussion? I don't know, but their goalie depth, they've got Dennis Hildeby in the American League. He's like 6'8". He's like a lacrosse goalie. He just, stretches his arms and fills the entire net. So they've got some decent depth there, but there's a lot of holes to fix. And, again, Chaika, just to wrap up thought on coaching, he basically said it's wide open. So who are we talking about here? I've heard everything from Jay Woodcroft, who's now out with Anaheim. Could he be a fit in Toronto? Could he be a fit in Anaheim? David Carl's name with Denver always pops up with coaching vacancies because of his championship record in the NCAA. Is he ready as a young coach to move his family? Or do you try and get in the Bruce Cassidy sweepstakes if you're Toronto? And I doubt they will, because I think Bruce would just say, I don't think, with all due respect, the timing isn't right for me to come into Toronto. So I think that would probably be a non-starter there.
There's a Rhett Warner who's, just lurking in the weeds.
Noodles said it's stressful, so I'm not. I don't.
Pressure.
Stress.
Yeah, stress.
Pressure.
Yeah.
We are.
It's 3 suits though, so that's
yeah. You
love
look sharp.
suits.
Look sharp. May long weekend. We are expecting something between. We're in the highs of 5 degrees, -2, rain/snow, cold weather. I think after this is done, I'm going to go to our official butcher of the show, Bonton Meats, and grab something. What would you recommend? A Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
High of 3. Okay. Tomorrow, 65% chance of snow. So we're talking.
Yeah.
We're hunkering down.
May long.
Yeah, we've got like 20 degrees today. Beautiful tomorrow. What would I do? Well, it depends. Like, are you hibernating at home and it's going on the smoker? It's going on the barbecue? Like, what are you doing?
It'll be a barbecue or oven, probably a low and slow. And it doesn't need to be just one thing. Cause if it was plus 20, I would be going home and just sitting at home for the
because
weekend,
you name dropped the butcher. I assume you're well connected.
Yes.
You cannot beat a beef tenderloin.
Okay.
What?
Can't beat it. Or prime rib, but a full prime rib.
A big roast.
Costly.
Yeah.
But if you do it low and slow, but like don't turn it into like pulled beef or anything stupid. Like pull it at medium rare and treat it with respect, for heaven's sake. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the high-end stuff. Or a bunch of friends of ours are going to a cottage in Muskoka. They're there now, in fact. And I felt guilty because I couldn't go. So I just put a basic pork butt, like a pork shoulder, on the smoker on Wednesday. 12 hours on that smoker. That bad boy was outrageous. So you can go from the simple of the pulled pork to treating your family like they deserve on a holiday weekend.
Treat them well, Dean.
Treat them well.
I'm convinced.
None of your cheap hooch and
That's
Garbage
right.
huts.
Red meat, brown liquor. What a weekend it's going to be. What a weekend it's going to be. Take care, Dregs. Have a good one, pal.
Hey, all you dusters. Thanks for watching. Apparently, I'm supposed to tell you to hit like and subscribe. You sound like a real cheese ball.
Jeez.